What's so important about your online presence and how does that work for you?
What a lot of people get wrong is, I need to be famous, I need to be beautiful, I need to look good. But what resonates is value and am I relatable and am I trustworthy?
Okay, welcome everybody to the Community Business Podcast by the San Diego Business Journal. In this episode, we're joined by Charles Bayani, CEO and founder of The Payment HQ. Welcome, Charles.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
You're quite welcome. For those of us that don't know that much about The Payment HQ, why don't you give us a brief breakdown on what the company does?
So we are a financial services company. We help business owners accept credit and debit card payments. So if you're a business that needs to take cards, whether you're in a retail environment, restaurant, or online, we have the services that can enable you to do that.
And what brought you to that? What is your background? What have you been doing before that?
So my background is in banking. In another life, I worked at Wells Fargo, a big corporate bank. Hopefully you know that bank. The way I arrived to merchant services comes from my banking career. And when I started off back in 2011, and I started off as a personal banker, and I climbed the ranks, learned the banking world, learned everything about finance that I could, and at some point at an intersection, I exited at business finance and was exposed to this service called payments, and the actual literal industry term is merchant services.
What do you think was the best part of Wells Fargo? What was the thing that you got the most out of working there?
Wow. When I look back at my time at Wells Fargo, I look at it with fond memories because I had some great leaders and some great mentors that taught me and invested in me, and they helped, mold me into the person I am today. Wells Fargo taught me a lot about systems, relationships, how to do business the right way, and more importantly, Wells Fargo taught me about financial literacy, and that company couldn't have entered my time at a better point of where I was in my mindset, because one day I woke up and said, hey, I have to grow up and be a man. I have to, I can't be doing this and being where I was at the time. I had to take responsibility and accountability for my life, and I felt like I was going nowhere real fast. And for some reason, the bank was that outlet for me where I felt like I belong. And I was right. I followed my intuition and did really well. And the thing that the bank does really well is they have a great training program. They have a lot of resources. There's a lot of opportunity for mentorship. And one of the things that I learned at the bank that I carry with me today is personal brand. At the time, they call it networking, getting your name out there, your reputation out there, but it's summed up in personal brand. And that's something that helped me start my business and grow my company, because when Charles was no longer associated with Wells Fargo, all Charles had to lean on was his reputation. And this might be a great opportunity for some people who are listening to take advantage of this advice. Your brand is what people say about you when you're not in the room. And I guard that and I protect that dearly, because if my brand gets ruined because I make a bad decision or I don't make commitments, I don't follow through on my commitments, I can't buy back my reputation. No amount of money will buy back goodwill when you don't take care of your customers. That's something that Wells Fargo taught me, and that's something that I treasure and protect in my business and in my life today, because when people come and they learn about me for the first time, they're going to Google me. They're going to Google my company. And I'm so proud to say that the first thing that they'll see is all my accolades on LinkedIn, all my peers that I've worked with for over a decade at Wells Fargo. I've got pages and pages of positive professional testimonials on LinkedIn from people that I've collaborated with. and all my previous coworkers, and even customers that I've served. So, I mean, if that doesn't build enough trust or authority or likability, being able to see what people have said about me in third party, no love lost. We're just not a fit to work with each other. But for the people out there where they're like, this guy has a track record, he's well known, he's got a good brand, he's got a good company, and he did great at his previous career, we should do business with him. And that's what I'm proud of. Shout out to Wells Fargo. Thank you to all the leaders that invested in me and believed in me, because at a time when I came to the bank, I didn't even know what I was capable of, but people saw it, and I'm so thankful that those relationships turned me into who I am today.
What was it about that attracted you to merchant services?
The thing that attracted me to merchant services was the payout compensation plan was unique, and the way we were commissioned at the bank was residual income. So we would go out and help a bunch of business owners, sign them up for the service, and the way we were compensated was based on the number of accounts we signed and the amount of revenue they ran, and there was a calculation of reoccurring income that we would get based off of their success. And that right there was a light bulb moment for me, because I said, if I could build my portfolio to a certain level, like my performance, I didn't have to be on this crazy hamster wheel of a bunch of new clients over and over again. I could build a respectable portfolio and be worth something even if my performance wasn't there, because I had built a portfolio full of clients that do well.
And going way back before that, was banking always something you were doing? What drove you into finance in the first place?
I was always interested in working smarter, not harder. And I was always fascinated by math and money, and Warren Buffett always was on my mind, someone I admired. He talks about investments and how money can compound and do its thing. And I read this book called Rich Dad, Poor Dad, and we don't have to go into the whole story, but that's what unlocked my mind about I'm doing the wrong thing. And before I was in banking, I was in telecommunications. I was selling B2B cell phone services for AT&T. And a lot of the people that I was exposed to at the time were business owners, because it's B2B. And I saw how they move, I saw how they work. And I thought, maybe I can become a business owner, because I see a lot of people doing really well. But I also saw a lot of people struggling with their money. And I decided, you know what, I'm going to go learn money. And that's how I stumbled into the banking industry.
What do you think you learned about money?
From banking?
Yeah, from in general.
That money is a language of its own. And growing up here and growing up in America and going through the school system and high school and college, nobody taught me about money, and no one taught my parents about money. We just kind of adopt these things that are handed down to us generation after generation. And the one thing that I believe everyone should learn in the school system is credit, cash flow, banking. Those are like essentials to like set you up for success as an adult. Like, if you don't have the know-how or the information about money, like, you're never going to be able to build wealth. You're never going to be successful. And hopefully by the time you retire, like most people learn too late. That's something I learned about money. Being at the bank, I've seen people in their 50s, 60s, and 70s. They don't have retirement set up. They have bad credit, never have assets that appreciate in value, don't even have a retirement plan. And unfortunately, they end up working until, the wheels fall off. And I feel like part of my core mission in life, because of being exposed to that at the bank, is driving me forward, because part of what I do now in business is educating people. Like the education part's so important because if I don't educate them and leverage my background from banking and teach them, like I can't leave them in a better place if I don't teach them. So I feel like, long story short, money is a language that I want to teach to as many people as possible.
Was there anything in particular while you were working at the bank that was like an aha moment and said, I have a solution that I think that people need, and it's going to be the Payment HQ?
Yes. Working at the bank, when I realized that the Payment HQ was an idea that was eventually going to become a reality, was just like any corporate company, like especially as big of a bank as Wells Fargo, you realize that you're just a small cog in a big machine. And I knew that I could have more impact when I was limited by my success. And let me explain that. I was a top performer. I've always been an achiever. And I enjoy rising to the occasion. I enjoy being challenged and like doing things that people say, oh, you can't do that. But proving them wrong. I enjoy that. And I remember loving so much what I did, but then being limited, being told, hey, you know what? You don't have to try that hard. You don't have to help that many people. Instead of helping these people, why don't you aim your target a little higher and, let these people, don't waste your time on them. Help premium segment customers, people who make more money, people in these types of industries. But I had the ability to also help everyone in between. So, that really, bit away at me over time. And I was thinking to myself, like, I could have impact here and here, but the bank is limiting me because they feel that, obviously for a big publicly traded company, shareholders are important, reporting revenue and breaking records were important. And essentially, I learned that through my time in my career at the bank that I could probably do this on my own. And the relationships that I have now actually help birth the company, because the same vendors that I was already exposed to from working at the bank ended up being the same people were my vendors when I went off on my own. And another light bulb moment was it's not the brand, or actually not the brand, but it's the individual that makes the difference. It wasn't, I always felt that like my identity was rooted with the company. Charles and Wells Fargo, they're a thing. And because Wells Fargo is like a household name, I felt like I needed that to stand on my own. But as I started to separate and get further and further away from the bank, I realized that wasn't the case. People were doing business with me because Charles took care of me. Charles honored his commitments. Charles actually does what he says he's going to do. And when things go wrong or things go right, I could always rely on him. And, that's kind of like the short version of how my company got off the ground. Because eventually I decided I'm going to leave. And I'm like, no customers, nobody. But once I left, I found that people came looking for me. So when they came knocking, with open arms, I had a business.
And what about that growth journey? Like you head out on your own, you leave a big, respected financial institution like Wells Fargo. Kind of scary, I bet. How did you build the world around you? I mean, you're a young founder. This is, a lot of people will take a cushy job and stay there. And so what was that like to kind of go head out on your own? And what are the steps you did to kind of build yourself, knowing that you already had some people that were, interested in doing business with you?
When I knew my time was up at the bank, I knew that it was gonna be fine because I had such a strong self-belief that I could do this. And there's a saying, I think it's by Henry Ford, and he says something to this effect that really resonates with me. and I might butcher it now. But if you think you can, you're right. And if you think you can't, you're also right. And at the time, being a top performer, being a leader, and looking back at all my accomplishments, my thought process in building the world around me to go off into entrepreneurship was, if I fail, any company would be happy to take me. Or I could even come back here. I've built a great reputation. Everybody knows me. Everybody enjoys working with me. And I enjoy working with them too. And I was so committed to building something on my own because I had a vision of what I would stand for. And not that the bank didn't stand for something good, but I felt like I could have greater impact. And I saw too many people that I was not able to help that I knew I could have that impact on. So in the prime of my career, I tell the bank I'm leaving. And exactly to what I said, like, what can we do? How can we keep you? And I said, I need to explore this. This is something that, like, I'm fired up about, and I have to explore it. And exactly how it panned out, I left. Everyone found out I left. Other banks, like my colleagues that went to other banks were like, hey, are you looking for a new job? We have an opening. We'd love to have you. And I knew I was headed in the right direction because I knew my reputation was intact, and that if I did fail, which that was never a plan B or never a consideration that I would fail, but I knew that if I had to go back, there's people who would take me. And that gave me extra confidence to go even deeper into entrepreneurship.
And you know, you're like you said, you left in your prime, and you're a young guy. This is something that you see a lot of people in their careers maybe thinking about entrepreneurship and wanting to start on their own. What is it that's the best idea? Why is that a good idea for young people to do in their careers? And then what is kind of the difference between the way entrepreneurs today, the young entrepreneurs, approach getting their name out there and doing stuff rather than like how it's been done in the past?
You know, I think if you're good at what you do, there's an opportunity for most of us to be an entrepreneur, right? There's a business already building inside of us because we have skills, we have experiences, and those skills and experiences are unique to us, and that's what makes us unique to any person that we can interact with in whatever service or product that we want to sell. We have that unique perspective, like, you're going to do business with me because I bring this sort of value to you that could be useful to you, and it's unique to me because I might be a father, I might be a family man, I'm an immigrant, I'm Filipino. There's something there that's unique about me that might be different to the next person that approaches them. And if you're good at what you do and you care about the outcomes that you're promising your customers, you definitely can be in business. Now, there's a caveat. Not everyone should be an entrepreneur because some people aren't built for it. It is a lot harder than a lot of people make it out to be. Right now, it is kind of glamorous to say, oh, I'm an entrepreneur, I make my own hours, I work wherever I want, whenever I want. And that may be true, but it's like marketing. You have to look past that and see that person, are they living the vision and values that maybe resonate with you? Are they a good person? Do they take care of their family? Do they take care of their health? More importantly, do they take care of their customers? And a lot of times what I find with business owners that are out there saying I'm a great entrepreneur or everybody can be their own business, I find that if that person doesn't resonate with you, it might be just smoke and mirrors. The internet is a great place to fact check and, check for receipts. Go online, read reviews, go read or find videos about what people have said about the brand or the company, and you'll often find the truth. And for people who are now stepping into entrepreneurship and considering it, the biggest takeaway is you have to be committed in what you're going to do. Because if you're not committed, like, it's not about the doing, like, oh, I'm going to go do it. I think the most important part is why you're going to do it. Let me tell you why I did it. When I found out my wife was pregnant with our first child, it was my daughter, I knew that the type of life that I was living at the time working for the bank was not going to be the type of life I wanted to lead having a young family, like having a baby. A lot of travel, a lot of meetings, time away from home, and I wanted to be a present father. Now, my dad, when I was growing up, he was in the military, so he was in the Navy, and he was deployed 6, 9, 12 months. And I remember what it was like not having a father figure around. And I knew for my daughter, not that my dad did a bad job, he was awesome when he was home, but that's what he had to sacrifice so that we could have the life that we have. And I didn't want to sacrifice that. So, typical Charles, I'm like thinking, how do I work smarter, not harder? How do I leverage the skills and experiences that I've already accumulated and do what I do best, which is helping people? So, entrepreneurship. I admit it's not for everyone, but I also encourage that everyone should give it a try, because if you are actually good at what you do and you actually care about your customers, you can be successful.
And so, Charles, what are some of the major lessons you've learned since starting a business?
Something that I've learned starting and experiencing entrepreneurship as a small business owner is there's a cost for everything. And I think it's not explained enough because there's this missing component of education around money, cost, and value. And the biggest lesson I've learned about cost is it's not worth it if there's no value. And in corporate America, like, let me see if this will make sense. You trade time for money. And when I became a business owner, I started trading money for my time back. So something that I've learned is as my business started to grow, I started to run out of time. At the beginning, I'm the marketer, I'm the salesperson, I'm customer service, graphic design, web design. And as my business started to grow and I started to hit this wall where I couldn't serve my customers at a high level, I knew I had to hire, another body to help me. So I hired another person, and what I learned there is that's the cost. The cost of buying my time back is, okay, now I have a person, and now I could run at 100% doing what I do good. Helping people, talking to people, educating, showing up to events, shaking hands, networking, getting out there into the community. And what's cool is what I learned from duplicating myself with one person is now there's two of us. The second person might not be as good as me, but now I'm running at 100%. This person might do 80% of what I could do. But once this person was running at 100% and now we're like at our limits, a third person, a fourth person, a fifth person, and that's how I've been able to scale my business to where it's at now, because I knew that once we hit our limits and the quality started to diminish, that was a time the cost was worth it. There's value there in having the right people that are amazing at what they do, that are aligned with my vision and how we take care of customers, and that's the cost. And that I learned about trading time for money. And in corporate America, like, you're just taught 80 hours paycheck, 80 hours paycheck, right? And it's weird that people find comfort in that. To me, I found comfort in it for a long time. I didn't think about starting my own business until I was in my mid-30s, right? I'm turning 40 this year.
Wow.
And I feel like I'm late to the party, but back to what I said earlier, right? Like, we were never really properly educated about the language of money. And I felt that, like, being exposed to the bank and working through the bank channels gave me the education I needed, and also solidified my mindset around, like, I can work smarter and money can work for me instead of me working for money. And once I learned that, I started Payment HQ, And now I'm able to, work wherever I want. I feel like that marketer cliche of business owner and entrepreneurship. Now I can work wherever, whenever, and with whoever I want. But there was a cost for me to earn that. Yes, it was tough at the beginning. Yes, there were sacrifices I made. But now, unlike corporate America where it's stable and more flatline in terms of maybe like a little bit of growth every now and then, every year we've grown exponentially. Our team has grown and we help more people. We start to have bigger impact. And yeah, it all starts with understanding the cost of what you want, because there's a cost for everything you want. And the risk, it only looks like opportunity looks like risk at the beginning. And when the risk is gone, the opportunity is also gone. I heard it so many times at the bank. Oh, I could have bought the Enron stock. Oh, I should have bought the Qualcomm stock. Oh, I should have bought Apple when it was nothing, or I should have bought Bitcoin. That's the thing about calculated risk, right? Like, opportunity is always disguised as risk, and your mindset dictates how you perceive it. Like, is it glass half full or half empty? But at the end of the day, like, to bring it back to entrepreneurship and mindset, you're right. If you think you can, you can. If you think you can't, you're also right. And yeah, that's one of the biggest lessons I've ever, took away from entrepreneurship was the cost.
And was there any apprehension about leaving such a job, at such a respected place like Wells Fargo?
Yeah, my wife thought I was crazy. I was walking away from a high six-figure paying job, title, cool office, the respect of my peers, respect of my family, right? Financial firm that's known. I was recognized as a leader and everyone knew me. And one of the biggest fears that I came across when I was really at the edge of the cliff, and my wife's trying to talk me off a ledge, she's like, your stable income's going away. Your 401k, your benefits, your stock options, your PTO, your all of that. And when I jumped and the income went from 6 figures to 0, I learned really quickly that it wasn't the income, it was the fear of failure. It wasn't actually failing, because I wasn't a failure because I quit. You're only a failure if you quit. So I quit the job to pursue something greater than what the job was doing for me. And I found out really quickly that 401k is just a brokerage retirement account that you can open up anywhere. I found that PTO, not really a benefit, because when you're self-employed or own your own company, you could choose to go on vacation whenever you want. And I found out that the insurance and medical benefits that big companies, say are benefits or value add to being employed by us, I was able to shop for medical insurance that was better than what Wells Fargo had offered me. And in fact, I could call Kaiser and say, hey, I want this coverage instead of that coverage. And I was able to customize my own health insurance package that was more cheaper than what Wells Fargo, here's it, a good, better, best plan. I was able to customize my own medical insurance to my right amount of needs and coverage versus what this $1 trillion company offered me as an employee. So, long story short, the only thing that I lost was whatever percentage they chose to match. But if I zoom out, the thing about stable income that a lot of people don't talk enough about is, yeah, maybe it's stable and maybe you make $100,000 every year. And maybe if you're lucky, if the bank says, we're gonna give you a raise, it's for being a loyal customer, being a loyal employee, you know what? You're gonna get a 2.5% raise. But if you math it out and you look back in the last 2-3 years, inflation, Like the rate that a stable corporate company will give you a raise in income doesn't match the rate of inflation. So like, I don't know what it is, but just to give you an example, if inflation was 5% and you got a 2.5% raise, you're operating at a loss. 5 years, 10 years, and I mean, your income should be going like this, like in a diagonally right, like, you know, to the right and up. But in fact, inflation is going faster and your income is not following that same line of growth. And, you know, that's something I feel people overlook when they're going into entrepreneurship or trying to start a business. Like, the upside is up to you. And I'm going to quote it again. If you believe you can, you're right. And if you believe you can't, you're also right. Because if you decide that, if your mindset is, I'm not going to make it, you're not going to make it. And it's not about what you need to do, it's why you're doing it. And I don't think I said this earlier, but the reason, my big why, is when I knew that there was a divide in alignment of what I wanted to do and who I wanted to help and how I wanted to help the people that I was called to help, was I knew that the bank wasn't supportive of, you know, they're just chasing profits, right? And I'm chasing impact. And I think my why was rooted in my family, my daughter, and being a present father. And I was good at what I did. People loved me. And honestly, like, just looking back at it, if I never had my kid, I might still be at the bank today. But life happens, and that's actually what steered me into entrepreneurship. And now I have 2 daughters. I have the ability to spend time with them. And all the fear that looked like risk at the beginning, stable income, PTO, medical insurance, I was able to build it on my own. And anybody can build it if I built it. I'm not special. I'm just someone who's doing the right thing for their customers. I live by my word, and I don't make promises I can't keep. And a lot of times, unlike any other sales organization that I've worked for, and the way I coach my team, if we can't help them, don't sell them. That's like one of our core values. If there's no value for them to extract from us, that's not a person we need to convince or persuade to do business with us. Like, it's okay. There's plenty of people that we could have impact with, and, you know, maybe they're just not the right fit. Just like, you know, we're not a fit for everyone, and, you know, we're not going to win it all, but, you know, I think that's what makes us special, is we're not trying to convince everyone that we're for everyone.
There was something you said about working smarter, not harder, and that being typical of you. One things that I know we've noticed is that the amount of like TikTok videos that you put out, and that you're in front of an online audience all the time. That seemed also a little bit different between the way people used to found companies and kind of how companies are founded now. What's so important about your online presence, and how does that work for you?
Oh, being online and having it in the medium of videos has been critical to like my company's success, because there's only one Charles that could talk to you and that could talk one-to-one, but when Charles is on video, he could talk to one-to-many, right? So now I can cover more ground, be productive, and focus my energy and efforts on things that actually move the needle for my business. Putting out video and making content is part of that, because now that's the modern day of marketing your business. In the past, earlier we were talking about billboards. Back then, if we rewind the clock a little further, we had to pay like the news, we had to pay the TVs or the broadcasting channels, like, oh, I want to run my ad, I want to run my commercial, and that's how we got in front of eyes. But now, because of what the internet has turned into, we have social media, a free platform, millions, if not billions of eyes that we have access to. If I put out content that resonates with these people, that speaks to the pains, the problems, and the outcomes that they want, the way the internet's algorithm and with social media, like Instagram and LinkedIn, it'll align me with those eyes that are looking for my content. What a lot of people get wrong is, I need to be famous, I need to be beautiful, I need to look good, I need to do something extreme. And that's, yes, that gets attention, but what resonates with at least the audience that I want to resonate with is value, and am I relatable, and am I trustworthy? And the videos that I make are curated around that. So I'm putting the business owners that we help front and center. We're talking about the outcomes that they got, the technology that we have, the services that we have. And yeah, I'm not viral, but I'm getting thousands of eyes weekly, maybe tens and 20,000s worth of impressions on video a month. That also is a separate funnel for my website traffic, plus our YouTube traffic. So I have this Bermuda effect of being omnipresent without actually having to be door to door, shaking so many hands, and doing it the old-fashioned way. So social media has modernized how I could reach more people.
All right. And again, what people are you trying to reach the most? Who would you say are the people that you're trying to help out the most right now?
You know, small to mid-size business owners. So there is a huge population of these entrepreneurs out there that need help with their payments, that are overpriced and underserved. That's our demographic that we're targeting. The restaurant owner that is losing their margins to payment processing fees, to hidden fees, to junk fees, to hidden contracts. You know, those are the type of people that we're trying to reach, because they don't know that there's a better way. Like, you don't know what you don't know. And I'm gonna myth bust something. The household names are not the best places to do business at, because they're just a huge faceless entity. Now, I'm not saying they're bad companies, but just know what you're getting into, because when you do business with us, you have a relationship with myself, my staff, my support team. We're available 24/7, and we're not trying to be this nationwide company that's signing business on the East Coast or the Midwest. We're trying to be the company here in San Diego for the San Diego community. So like, you'll find that we stand apart, because when something goes wrong, whether it's myself or my staff, we could be on site, we're available, we're in your communities, and we're supporting each other. And you know, I think the relationship component, as we move into like a more AI driven, you know, environment, this is how we're going to stand apart, is keeping that human touch alive.
And where can people reach you?
Oh, yeah. We have a website, www.thepaymenthq.com. We have our calendars there. My staff is there. You can book a call, fill out a form, learn about the company. You can also find us on YouTube at The Payment HQ. You can find us on Instagram at The Payment HQ. You can find me, Charles Bayani, on LinkedIn. And yeah, like, we are omnipresent, as I like to say it. We are findable. You could Google us. You could read reviews about us. You could see videos of what clients have said about us. And we are real. We're not a faceless company, as I call it. When we have a relationship with you, it's both ways, and it's not one way. We're not here to process payments for you. We're here to help you grow your business. We're here to help you make money. We're here to help you navigate the next level of your business.
Well, thank you very much, Charles.
Thank you for having me.
You're welcome.